Hi, I'm Patty Baker, and I came a few weeks ago to a weekly meeting here. It was posted on July 11th on this page, and it was about faith and healing. I was invited to this group for the evening because I had an accident back in September of 2022, and it debilitated me. I took an 8-foot fall on a hike with a friend of mine, and she also took the same fall. She had a sprained ankle and was better in a couple of days. I dislocated my hip. My femur came out of the hip joint. I'm in occupational health, so I know a little bit about the body, and I was able to position myself to get it back into the socket enough to walk out of the trail and get back to my car. I stopped at a pharmacy on the way home. It was after dark. I knew to get some bags of ice and some Tiger Balm in hopes that it would just help this sprain, and some ibuprofen just to help with the swelling. And I prayed and I said, Spirit, heal me. And I woke up the next day and couldn't get out of bed. I managed to get to the bathroom, and that was basically about it. I was back in bed. I was hopping around. I managed to get to the front door, and I unlocked it. And I said, God, the next person who calls is the one who's going to take care of me over the next few days. And it happened to be my neighbor. Her refrigerator went out, and she said, can I store some of my food in the refrigerator? Because I don't want to lose it. I said, the front door's open, but can you also come over and help me and prepare a couple meals for me? And in doing so, she also brought me some crutches, and I was able to hobble around for a couple of weeks. I went to a chiropractor who couldn't do an adjustment. There was just too much swelling. And finally, after about 3 or 4 weeks, was able to get a good adjustment and get it back, we thought, in place, but it kept coming out of socket. And not all the way, but enough where I was hobbling. I was with a cane. And I fast forward to November, where my chiropractor said, I've done as much as I can for you. I think you probably just need to continue to stretch, and maybe we need to get an MRI. So talked to a couple of physical therapists, and went ahead and started doing some stretching with a therapist, and had come to the end of myself and what I knew that I could do based upon my work background in occupational health as a rehabilitation specialist. Chiropractor kind of come to the end, and I know an orthopedic surgeon who said, based upon what you're telling me, it sounds like you have a labral tear in your hip, and I can do surgery and try and fix it. I asked what the percentage was, and they said, the doctor said, it's about a 52 to 56% success rate. And of course, you're going to have a lot of arthritic changes as a result of that. And so I declined to get the MRI. I declined the surgery. I declined the physical therapist recommendations, and I continued just to stretch my body and pray that God would heal me, because I believe that he can. He's done it before with my knees, probably about 25 years ago. So I know that God is a healing God, and I know that Spirit will heal should we choose to walk in faith in that. I was invited. Joel had heard that I still was having this hip issue in January, and so he invited me to come and join in this faith and healing, knowing that I have faith in Spirit, and thought that it would be useful for me. I left that meeting that night just feeling wonderful and enlightened, with other like-minded people who were also exploring their spirituality as it relates to faith and healing. And I went to bed. That was it. There wasn't anything big or over the top that happened at the meeting. Everybody just kind of, said what was on their mind and their thoughts as they're on their own spiritual path. And I woke up the next morning. I went and grabbed a quick shower, and I threw on some workout clothes, because I always stretch in the morning, head to toe stretch. And as I began to stretch, I realized I'm not hurting. My hip, where I was having to stand at the meeting the night before because I couldn't sit down and couldn't rotate that hip well, it was in so much pain. Just standing was about all I could do. And I was shifting. I went back and looked at the video. I'm shifting my weight because I was just in so much pain. And it's gone. There's no pain. And I hesitated. And I thought, even when I was drying off, when I was taking my shower, I didn't even notice any pain then. It's just normal and natural that I would feel this way. And yet, it never really dawned on me until the moment where I'm like, oh, this is probably going to hurt a little bit. And it didn't. I don't know what happened between the night before and then. There wasn't some, sensation. There wasn't anything miraculous. That would be out of the ordinary, that you would point to that moment and go, man, that's it. That's the formula. Other than the fact that I had recharged my faith, right? I had been bolstered in my faith, that being around like-minded people who are walking out their spiritual journey in faith made all the difference. So my takeaway in that I can sit here and tell you that I'm completely healed. And I can stand. I show everybody, because I love to tell the story of how I can bring my foot up, no problem. Look, I have this kind of range of motion. It might be difficult for you to see. I can kick my leg up. I can jump up and down. I mean, it's amazing. I have no pain. And this is because of God. There's nothing else to explain why I'm able to do what I just described to you. We talk ourselves out of healing. We really do. It should be something that's natural. It is. It's natural because we operate out of the wholeness of the Spirit. And when we operate out of that wholeness, there is no disease. There is no sickness. There is no lack. I think we get caught up in our judgments, in our prejudices, in our guilt, and our fear. Those last two probably kept me for months in this hip injury. And I think what we think and what we say contributes to our lives. And so think about what you're thinking about. But more importantly, how are you speaking it out? How often are you willing to go beyond your present limits? Because Spirit is limitless, right? And yet we even hold ourselves back. And Spirit goes beyond medical opinion, right? Medical opinion is not truth. It is an opinion. It's a popular belief. And Spirit goes beyond incurable. Incurable means that humanity hasn't found a cure for it in the moment. But that doesn't mean that we're operating out of our lack. We're operating out of our limit. And who are we to deny what the Spirit of God can do? So we can either look at history and paint accounts of, like the Israelites did in 40 years in the desert, and think about being back in Egypt, or we can press forward and stop reading history and take out a pen and begin to write our story with Spirit in the center of our life and our being, because that's the wholeness that we operate out of. But in order to write your story, you need a pen. And so I'll finish out by saying this. In Psalms 41:5, it says, "My tongue is the pen of a ready writer." And so Joel had asked me to share my account of my healing, and I decided to use my tongue as my pen to share, because I know that anything is possible when faith in the Spirit is in the room.